North Idaho College proudly presents NIC Today, an informational news magazine that highlights the people, programs, and campus life at North Idaho College and the surrounding community. And now, your host and moderator, President of North Idaho College, Dr. Joe Dunlap.
Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to North Idaho College Today. This is the program that brings you the people and the programs that make North Idaho College happen. We've got some special guests with us today, and that would be Mike Mires, who is the Dean for Professional Technical Education, Dr. Lita Burns, who is our Vice President of Instruction. Welcome to the program today.
Thank you.
And then, as usual, we have Mark Browning with us, who is our Vice President for Community and Governmental Functions. And Mark, welcome. I'm glad to have you here today. Well, Mike, as Dean of Professional Technical Education at North Idaho College, what types of programs are you responsible for?
Well, we kind of divide those into a number of groups. Trades and industry, which include welding, machining, it includes automotive. It also includes programs like collision and so forth. We also have programs in the business and profession, which include office technology types of programs, paralegal. We also have programs in the health sciences, which include farm tech. It also includes programs like medical assistant and a number of other things. So it kind of crosses the gambit of all the workforce types of courses.
Okay. And just to be clear, when you talk about farm tech, we're not talking about growing wheat. We're talking about
with the PH.
A pharmacy
technology. Yeah.
Okay, great. And Lita, you used to be the dean prior to being the vice president of instruction in the health sciences area. And so what types of programs did you have that would be considered professional technical?
Well, it's interesting. I think it's a misnomer to many people in our community that the practical nursing program actually is a professional technical program, whereas the associate degree nursing program is a transfer program. So I don't think a lot of people understand that. But our radiography technology program is considered a PTE. Our medical assisting program is PTE. Pharmacy technology, as has been mentioned. And we also offer for credit a CNA program. In addition, we're looking at being able to open a physical therapist assistant program in conjunction with the other two community colleges and transfer that program down to LCSC as well. So those would be the health professions programs that are currently offered at NIC. Okay.
And Mike, what are the biggest challenges facing you in managing the professional technical programs?
Well, when I first came here, one of the things I learned very quickly is that we have some very large waiting lists. And the waiting lists are as large as 164 students waiting to get into programs like automotive. We have another one that exceeds 100 trying to get into culinary. And that's kind of a good example of just a couple of the programs. But across the board, most of these programs have large waiting lists. With the advent of K-Tech, we know those waiting lists will probably even get larger. So my biggest concern is capacity, and how do we adjust a facility to make sure we can sustain the capacity with the growth of the city of Coeur d'Alene and the surrounding areas, and the students who want to get access. That's probably our biggest challenge is how do we have a facility afford that type of growth.
And so, Mike, describe to us the current facilities you have in terms of capacity for some of the programs, in terms of safety issues, and just the general condition of those facilities.
Yeah. The automotive, for example, we can only take 12 students, so we only have slots for 12 students in the automotive. In most colleges, slots for 20 would be more in line with the type of growth we would have, and probably more like a program of 60 would be sustainable for this community. In our areas like diesel, we have it was designed, I think, for about 14, and we have 64. So we really have doubled up in a lot of those areas past what I would call, I think what a carrying capacity would be safe. Usually a 20-to-1 ratio is good, but when you get up to 60 or so students, we do have more than one instructor, but it's still, in those types of shops, I think it's a safety issue. both in our welding program, another program, for example, where we have, say, up to 48 or so students any given time. So These labs were designed for much smaller capacities, so our safety is kind of paramount, making sure we're designed right for the amount of students we have.
Mike, how much is industry helping to drive the demand? It seems as though, I know that your programs work very closely with industry in terms of trying to tailor the curriculum and how the students come out and what they're prepared for. How much are they telling you, look, we're going to need X number of diesel technicians over the next 20 years?
You know, industry, it tells us that they do need more. I think we're driven a lot by the stats that we get from the Department of Labor that say the retirement population is really driving this a lot. And we have in retirements from 55 to 65, the demand that's going to be coming up is really significant. The demand that we see from students is high. The demand from our stats tell us it's going to get higher. And then I think industry is saying they're always seeking more people for their programs.
It really is that baby boomer effect. As we boomers are getting older and contemplating retirement, somebody's got to pick up the slack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Lita, as Vice President of Instruction, one of your responsibilities is to manage the instructional budget, which is the largest component of the college's budget. So when you hear Mike talk about limited capacity in many of the programs we have, talk to us a little bit about what that means in terms of our fiscal ability to manage effectively.
Well, anytime we have to turn away students because we don't have space for them in the program, then certainly that means that we wouldn't be receiving the tuition from them. You know, currently in the state we are not funded necessarily on an FTE model, which means that per student that is attending North Idaho College. But, and that's rare in most community colleges. Usually there is some sort of a model that funds based on number of students. But that is a perspective that would be looked at should changes in how funding comes to us from other sources like the state might look at the numbers of students we're actually serving. So anytime we're not serving the number of students that are interested in coming to the college, it impacts us in a negative manner. So we certainly want to make sure that we can absolutely meet every student's needs by bringing them to the college and certainly having them meet their educational goals. That's our primary mission. But also it's important to us as an institution too to be able to get those tuition dollars in to support the institution.
Seems to me, Lita, is that it's kind of a double whammy, because if we turn someone away, they either go somewhere else if they can get in to get the training and the education they need. Oftentimes that leads them out of state, which then leads to a job opportunity out of state, and we've lost them. Or they say, well, that door's closed, I'm going to go and do something else, and we've lost that opportunity to grow that industry all the way around. So it really has a doubling effect, it seems as though, when we have to turn students away.
Absolutely. You know, and I think that the other thing that sometimes happens is that a student, when they can't get in the program that really is their desire, and they look at something else, they might go ahead and try that, and either they become disinterested because that's not the love of their life, right, or they do go ahead and pursue that, and then a few years later they think, oh, I really need to go back and be the welder that I want to be, or be the pharmacy technologist that I want to be. So it ends up that they spend more money and more time on their education.
More time and money, yeah, which adds to the cost.
Well, Mike, as you know, our trustees are looking at community input to try and help them make a decision on building a new professional technical facility. And so when you look at that from an instructional perspective, what would you like to see ideally in a new facility?
Well, as far as in this case, are you talking about what types of issues? Let me put it this way. I think the things that I'd like to see is, as we look at it, is certainly capacity, make sure the labs are adequate, that the classrooms are adequate. I think one of the things we have to remember, our average age of students is around 28, 29. I think when they come here to the college to enjoy their instruction, a lot of those people are looking for things like daycare that are also a benefit for them coming here. I think they look for student services that are advising, extra services like in the tutoring services that we have here, the library services. They also look at some of the athletic programs and other things. So our average student is older than I think most people would imagine. And I think they're looking for a lot of the services that affords them in this location. So that's a very important part of that.
There are a lot of considerations that you don't think of when you look at the issue just off the top, and it gets very complicated very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And may I join
sure.
in this?
Jump in there, Lita.
when we're looking at facilities, I also would like some flexibility. We absolutely need a state-of-the-art professional technical education with labs to teach welding and diesel and all of those sorts of things. But it would also be nice if we're building to have some flexibility for classroom space, because we are, you know, in a tough situation for classroom space too. So if we could use the classroom space when it's not being used by professional technical education students, if we could use it for general classroom space, that would be ideal. So I really would like a building that has a little bit of flexibility to it.
Okay. Well, Lita, Mike, thank you very much for being here today.
You know, you talk about maximizing those opportunities for students. Students often maximize opportunities for themselves too when they do get a chance to take a day or two off. One of the students from Philippe Val's professional technical and graphic design programs, Kirk Maston, has a mini documentary we'll give you a sample of today about what students do when they take the opportunity to catch some really big air at Schweitzer Mountain.
Well, you gotta go up quad, and then you push over to snow gust, and then just glide down to idle T-bar. From T-bar, you take a left up at the top where you get off. You just come down to this little saddle.
We're not shy. Not at all.
And from the saddle, you gotta hike all the way up. I don't know. How many vertical feet do you think?
I know.
600?
5.
500 or 600 feet, vertical feet. Hike up, and then you gotta traverse over a little bit. And then you're here. My name's Ben Johnson. I've never really been a park rider. I've always liked to go on the groomers and haul ass. I've been boarding and skiing since I was about 3 or 4, so I've been up here about 14 years.
I've been, geez, I've known how to ride. I've been riding since I was 4 years old. But I played hockey, so I didn't really get to go up too much. Take 1 step forward, 2 steps back. I've been riding about 2 years hardcore. I do a little park, you know. I like the backcountry though. No people, no lines. Beautiful when it's nice and sunny, panoramic views. I like to go out, build jumps, freaking just tear it up and test myself.
If you started right about where that tree is, they'll shoot you out to there.
I mean, it's right about, 50 feet out.
What if you went up higher, it threw you to like a little bit higher than that
60.
tree?
So this is gonna throw, I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, I'll be guinea pig this time.
I'm gonna pile some snow up there, just make a little transition. Basically, you just want something, you know, good snow, pack it up, make it good. I don't know. Any jump's a good backcountry jump.
So pretty much you take your cool ski, your mantra, shake it in here. Be like an old lumberjack and saw your way down slowly. And if it's hard, just chop at it. Just keep on going all the way down. You can do it on the other side too. Do it on a really long chunk. Then you take your shovel, you go up here. Get rid of your first like 3 or 4 inches because it's crap. And just chunk it out. Nice hard pack stuff.
Again, just a sampling of a mini documentary by one of Philippe Val's graphic design students, Kirk Maston, with the excitement on top of getting Big Air on top of Schweitzer. And Joe, I think if you wanted excitement a little closer to ground level, maybe something indoors, if you're not snow related, you'd like maybe wrestling or volleyball or basketball, our next topic probably would fit that bill.
Yeah, I'm getting a little old to be flying.
Yeah, you and me both.
Well, welcome back to the second half. Today we have Nikole Cummings who is with us, and Nikole is the executive assistant at Riverstone. We also have Al Williams who is here with us today, and Al is the athletic director at North Idaho College. And so you might ask yourself, well, what do these two have in common? And what they have in common is looking at an event center or a sporting event center that we are considering building here in Coeur d'Alene. The Board of Trustees authorized the college to look at a feasibility study to examine the potential for developing such a facility. And so, Al, I'd like to ask you first a little bit about our existing facilities and why do we need a new facility?
Well, as you know, as beautiful as our campus is, the one sore spot we have is the aging athletic facility that we have. You know, it was built in 1948. And hasn't had much renovation since then. It's the original gym floor, bleachers. We're fortunately getting those replaced, but it's one of those things that you try to hide to our recruits when they finally do come on campus because it is so old and our facilities are outdated and probably the worst in the conference. So we've been looking into something to replace what we have for quite some time, and this opportunity would be a great chance for us to enhance our facilities and make it be comparable to what we have around the region and something that the community really needs for an athletic sports complex.
And so here we have nationally ranked teams. This year, national championship in wrestling, and we have the worst facilities of anybody in the conference, right?
We really do. It's somewhat embarrassing. You know, our locker rooms are antiquated. You know, we steam rooms, we don't even have one. We take most of our PE classes off campus because we don't have the facilities to adequately have the proper PE program. But despite that, we've done well, but we really should be doing so much more because with the obstructive viewing we have for our fans, our court is not even regulation size. ADA compliance is far from being met in our facilities. You can't get wheelchairs and for people to sit. But mainly it's just hard to get to our facility, even climb up to our stairs. The way our seating structure is, you can't climb into your seats without climbing over people. And it's just been around for so long that it just doesn't meet the needs of our programs, especially when, like you mentioned, nationally ranked like our programs have been.
You bet. Well, Nikole, you're an NIC graduate, I understand. And in addition to that, you've been working on this project for a number of years to look at bringing a sporting event center into Coeur d'Alene. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about what that looks like, what it entails, why that would be good for the community and North Idaho College.
Sure. We began work on this concept about 2006, I think January, so it's been a little over 6 years now. I guess what makes it a little bit more salient now versus then is at the onset, the conceptual design was a little bit larger in scale. We were looking at about $25 million to build. And then we went out and we raised some money in the community and we commissioned a feasibility study to be done, which was by CSL International, Convention Sports and Leisure. And then after that, and reviewing their recommendations, because they customized that study just for our area and what would work best, we spent a lot of time and effort whittling down the original concept to what's in place now. And we strongly believe that's the right size and the right pricing for both the college and the community. If it's completed as conceptualized right now, it will cost them approximately $15 million to complete, but in turn will bring in $15 million annually of new money to our area.
Well, you know, when you start talking numbers there, really seems like an opportunity for not only Coeur d'Alene and Kootenai County, but for North Idaho to keep a lot of dollars here at home. I don't know how many times those of us who travel on occasion, you go to the airport and every weekend you see a dance team or a soccer team or basketball or somebody, parents headed out of town, and with them go all their dollars. It'd be so nice to see so much of that stay here in North Idaho if possible.
Very true. The value proposition is pretty obvious when you start getting into the nuts and bolts of it.
So other than North Idaho College utilizing the facility, what other type of events do you think we could attract to it here in Coeur d'Alene?
Oh, I think that's a wide range. We actually don't have any gathering space here that accommodates anything. Al can contest that there's a lot of athletic, competitions and statewide competitions that would bring a lot of benefits to the area that we haven't been able to host. But we also have, weddings and graduations and anything that, would take 5,000 or 6,000 people. We have to go across borders and bring that over to Spokane right now.
Kind of a tough deal for us with our own commencement services here, our graduation. We have to cap the number of tickets that each graduate can invite family. They get 2 tickets.
I remember
What a
that.
moment when for many of these folks, it's the first in their family to graduate college at any level, and then you've got to throttle back the number of people because we just simply can't get them all in the gym.
Well, the largest venue in Coeur d'Alene is Schuler Auditorium, which is in Boswell Hall right here at North Idaho College. The seating capacity there is 1,178, so anything that requires seating above about 1,200 people, Coeur d'Alene just can't accommodate that.
Yeah.
And a perfect example of our need is we were awarded to host the NJCA National Wrestling Championships, and we did it 3 years ago, and they gave it to us again, but you have to have at least 3,000 seats and the space to have 6 to 8 mats, and we don't have that here in town, so we have to unfortunately take that across the border. And so all the revenue from that should be going to Coeur d'Alene goes to Spokane. We had to host at the Spokane Convention Center. And you're talking about 800 room nights for hotels, economic impact you're missing. We had 54 teams coming in here over a 3-day period. And those events we're missing out on. We put in a bid to host the NJCA Volleyball Championships, and we missed that because we didn't have a facility, and it went over to Casper, Wyoming. And not only these kind of events, we're talking about high school state championships, gymnastics we're missing, tribal events you can bring here, mixed martial arts, Kempo karate, all the events people come to us and ask, can we host that? And unfortunately, we can't. And we talk about in the long term, putting it so we can meet our needs down the road, concerts, things of that nature we want to bring into this area. And we just need to have something with a minimum of 5,000 seats to meet our needs.
Well, Nikole, you mentioned that there's a $15 million economic impact annually that this facility would potentially bring in. And so in order to put this project together, I know there's been discussion about a public-private partnership, which means there will probably be a need for some fundraising in the community, and you must believe there's some capacity for that.
We really do. We've done a lot of work in the community and talking to various community leaders and just members, and we've gotten a wide range of support from all the businesses down in the River District and local businesses in general. We strongly believe that it will help during the shoulder months a lot. November to March is when business sales are pretty difficult to come by, and this will be a strong advocate for that.
Coeur d'Alene has really done a really good job of positioning itself as a destination now. But you're right, those shoulder months seem awfully difficult. Despite all the great opportunities we have, we saw the piece about scaling up the side of the mountain, maybe building a big kicker jump. But for most folks, a day at Schweitzer or maybe over at Silver, having something else in terms of maybe there's a concert or a trade show or something that would come through this area could certainly help our hotels and our restaurants, I would think, during those, like you say, those really difficult months.
Absolutely, and we actually do have quite a bit of support letters that we've been able to get, and we haven't heard one bad thing yet so far. Everybody's been kind of jumping on board on this pretty quickly. So
good,
yeah.
Good. When you look at that, there will be a lot of work that will have to be done in terms of laying out all the parameters in a public-private partnership and how the funding works and how the operation would work. But I think it's very encouraging for our area to at least have the opportunity and, as a connector in terms of an entertainment venue somewhere between Spokane and Missoula, there really isn't anything else, as you say. And I know with Boswell Hall, we've turned away people who have wanted to come and perform in this area, but by the time you put 1,100 and some odd folks in those seats, the ticket price becomes prohibitive. I mean, for Bill Cosby, for example, that ticket's $150. That show's not going to sell out. If you can put him in a larger facility and put that ticket price at $50 to $60, that's a much better proposition.
Mm-hmm. Now, Nikole, there has been some talk in the news about Spokane developing a sporting event center over there as well. Can you talk about the difference between what the Spokane Center would offer and why that wouldn't compete with the center that we're talking about putting in place?
Yes, we don't know the details of that facility quite yet, but what we have seen about it is the design concept is entirely different. They've got a lot of ice sporting events and that sort of thing, and ours would be more set up, college sports and indoor sports, but not the same as they're going out and getting. So we would not be recruiting the same events as they would be.
And that would also help not to duplicate the recently done Frontier Ice Arena just down on Saltese as well.
Correct.
You don't want to duplicate and take away from someone else.
Correct. Yeah. And Spokane and Coeur d'Alene are close and yet far away. And even if you did a little bit, it wouldn't be. But no, we are definitely entirely different than what they're looking at doing over there.
So Al, what do your coaches think?
The coaches are excited just about the prospect of having that. I mean, this Riverstone is so close to our campus, it's almost considered to be part of our campus. It's visible right off the highway. We're within an easy walk down there on a nice day, but it's close enough where it's more or less an extension of our campus. So to have that for recruiting, it would be tremendous to bring them there and show that kind of facility. But I think it would bring more of an audience to see our teams as well. I think people do stay away because it is so hard to get into our facility right now. And I think being able to expose our teams on that kind of level would really enhance it, not just for our immediate students, but the whole community as well.
Well, Al, thank you very much for being here today. Nikole, thank you for being here. And as usual, Mark, I want to thank you. And I want to thank the viewers for tuning in to see what's going on at North Idaho College, a chance to get to meet the people who helped make that work. And be sure to tune in again on Channel 19 next time.